And now, the real story of Gaslight. Gaslight is a 1944 American psychological thriller film directed by George Cukor and starring Charles Boyer, Ingrid Bergman, Joseph Cotten, and Angela Lansbury in her film debut. The story was adapted from Hamilton's play Gaslight of 1938. Cukor's version, a remake of Dickinson's 1940 British picture of the same name, had a larger scale and budget than the original film and gives the material a distinct vibe. Cukor's remake was originally named The Murder in Thornton Square in the United Kingdom to prevent confusion with the first picture. Warning, spoiler alerts. Alice Alquist, a world-renowned opera soprano, was just assassinated in her London residence, 9 Thornton Square, after being interrupted by Alice's 14-year-old niece, Paula. The assailant fled with the priceless diamonds he had slain for her. After her mother's death, Paula was raised by Aunt Alice. Paula was transferred to Italy to study opera singing after Alice was murdered. Years later, a mature Paula meets and marries Gregory Anton. After a whirlwind 2-week relationship, Paula is forced to return to London, where she has no family or acquaintances, to live in a long vacant townhouse of her late Aunt Alice. Gregory advises that they store all of Alice's belongings in the attic to ease her anxiety about memories of her aunt's brutal death. But Paula stumbles into a letter from a man named Sergius Bauer to her aunt in an old book before they do. Gregory has a rage-filled response. His explanation for his reaction, on the other hand, is that he was enraged by the unpleasant memories his bride is having. Things get strange after Alice's possessions are hidden away in the attic. Paula misplaces an heirloom brooch that Gregory had given her at the Tower of London, despite the fact that she had just put it carefully in her handbag before leaving the house. When a picture vanishes from a wall, Gregory assumes it was taken by Paula, who has a history of hiding and removing items. Paula, on the other hand, has no recall of having done so. Paula also hears footsteps coming from the attic's locked entrance and notices the gaslights dimming and re-brightening for no apparent cause. Gregory argues that she is imagining these things. He claims that he is isolating his wife for her own good because her nerves have been acting up, leading her to become a kleptomaniac. When other men show an interest in her, he becomes envious and accusatory. When Gregory does accompany Paula to a friend's party, he shows her his watch chain, from which his watch has inexplicably disappeared. When Gregory discovers it in Paula's handbag, she breaks down in front of the entire party, and Gregory takes her home with him. Paula begins to have doubts about going out in public. When Paula learns that their young maid, Nancy, despises her, the situation spirals out of control. In the meantime, Gregory is privately flirting with her and tells her she's crazy for worrying about the maid's disapproval. Sergius Bauer, the man Paula married, is actually the one who murdered her aunt. He went to Italy in search of Paula in order to obtain Alice's jewelry. He has been surreptitiously searching through Alice's possessions in the attic for the gems that he knows are still there. He was the one whose steps Paula heard in the attic. To explain the flickering gaslights, he argues that turning on the attic lighting cut off gas to the downstairs fixtures. Paula's display of kleptomania is nothing more than Gregory's con game. With the use of a sophisticated approach, Gregory manages to persuade his wife that she is going insane in order to gain power of attorney over her and continue his search for the gems. Paula's life is spared by an incident that occurred during her visit to the Tower of London, which also led to a chance meeting with Scotland Yard Inspector Brian Cameron, an Alice Alquist fan since childhood. Seeing Paula, who resembles her aunt in appearance, reignites Cameron's interest in the unsolved death of Alice and the disappearance of her royally gifted diamonds. Cameron discovers, with the help of a police officer, that Gregory slips into the unoccupied house next door and into his own attic via a skylight. When Cameron finally enters the house, he sees Paula. Gregory discovers the jewels dressed as costume jewelry. The same night he gets back home, he discovers that Paula has had a visitor. In spite of his knowledge that he has been found, he continues to confuse Paula by telling her that everything she sees is a figment of her imagination. Cameron, on the other hand, arrives out of nowhere and confronts Gregory, chasing him up to the attic before apprehending him. Following them, Paula is persuaded of her own sanity and decides to get some payback. As they sit in a chair, now shackled, he begs her to cut him free so he can flee. She mocks Gregory, speculating that the knife she holds might not be real, before summoning Cameron to take him away. For the real backstory of the film, though, we must look at Gaslight, the 1938 Victorian thriller. Patrick Hamilton, a British novelist and playwright, wrote the Victorian thriller Gaslight in 1938. Mr. Hamilton's play is a dark tale of a marriage built on deception and treachery, and a husband who is determined to drive his wife insane to steal from her. The play ended after 6 months and 141 performances and was reincarnated into Angel Street, a 1944 American play, and Gaslight, a 1945 American play, a 1958 Australian television play. Now, Angel Street was a smash hit on Broadway when it first opened, and it has since gone on to become one of the longest-running non-musicals in Broadway history, with 1,295 performances. At the 17th Academy Awards, the 1944 film earned 7 nominations, including Best Picture, and won 2 Best Actress for Bergman and Best Production Design. I hope you enjoyed a look back into the real story behind Gaslight. As always, thank you for tuning in.